Hi, just a quick introduction. My name is Raj. Thank you for the opportunity. I was talking about the church fortress. It's just a new term. It could be fortress church or church fortress, but um, it's something very, I would say, unique in the country. So this paper was submitted for the International Committee for Heritage Fortifications. So, okay. After 15 minutes of presentation, these are some of the terms I would probably want everyone to remember. So this is the outline of my study. The objective is just to have a geographic analysis to understand the defense system during the Spanish period and contact zones. The church fortresses are actually contact zones. I'll explain in a bit. The methodology, I'm a geographer, so I use geography. The result, what is the point of the paper after all this study, is just really to help better understand why our fortifications are unique compared to the rest of the world. And the outlook is there is an important contribution of military geography, imperial geography, and human geography. So I mentioned the contact zones. It was coined by Winder in 2009. It means that these are what they call the sites of interactions. So when you say site of interactions between cultures, so examples ito would be Chinatown, national borders between two borders. These are contact zones. Urban centers, because there's so many cultures coming in together, and of course international schools, the lower level. So my idea is that the church fortresses are contact zones because they showcase the Philippine social, economic, historical context during that time. Okay, so I hope you would remember this concept, because whenever we do studies, you have to find out which places in the world are important contact zones. Okay, so I guess the first question here is why did I choose church fortresses? So I made a comparison to three. We have the watchtowers and forts. We have churches, and then we have this term that I coined, which is church fortresses. So when you talk about watchtowers and forts, their function is very simple. It's defense, military, and administrative. Whereas churches are more religious. And we have church fortresses, which actually is a combination of all these. Now, why again did I talk about contact zones? It's because there is a different interaction happening between here, where it's actually the fortresses are more, they're very distant from the local people. So it doesn't really say what was the experience of the colonized during that time, because only the elites, only the officers are able to go there. Whereas churches is really more for the priests and the people. But what about this? So I'll tell you about the story on what I found out about church fortresses. So it's clear so far. If you have questions, please ask. This will be very quick because most of us are already familiar with this. Some of the terms have already been explained in the UNESCO World Heritage Site of the Under-Baroque Churches of the Philippines, thanks to Regalado Trota Jose. So we already know that the churches now are resistant to natural calamities. So we have earthquake baroques. Okay? Building materials, we use coral, which is thought to be light. So meaning it's light, but it's also durable. So you can put that in the highest portions of the church, and during the earthquake, it won't actually topple down because it's light and strong. There's a lack of professional architects, and then there's a mix. But I'd like to focus more on this because this is the main reason why we're defending the Philippines, because of the impact of native or foreign hostilities. Okay, let's go to this part. This one's they're all available in the UNESCO World Heritage Site website. So this is the historical context. What are we studying? We're part of the Spanish East Indies from this period, 1565 to 1898. We're also an important network with Mexico during the galleon trade, and then the Moro pirate raids. So this map is replicated from Non. He studied it in 1993. So the red lines you see here are the pirate routes. Okay, they're all coming from the south Sulu and this Maguindanao area. And I chose the 5 church fortresses to be the most example for this for defending the country. The Philippines was a source of wealth for the Spanish kingdom, so they really have to protect it. So these are the 5 church fortresses that I chose. So this is Santa Maria Ilocos Sur, Dupax del Sur, Nueva Vizcaya. You have Capul, Northern Samar. This is in Miagao, Iloilo, and Bolhoan, Cebu. So we're going to talk now, for military geography purposes, are there geographic conditions? Why there are advantages in military tactics, on defending the Moro pirates, because they're everywhere during that time. Okay, so these are my contribution to the maybe characteristic of a Filipino church. One of them is elevation. Obviously, for these reasons, you have to be in a high place to be able to survey the sea. So this is an example, Santa Maria Ilocos Sur, which is on a hill instead of a plain. The other one is Miagao. Originally, it was located in a lower level, and it was moved up to a higher place. So elevation is one. It's a geographic advantage. 2, this is for urban planners. There's always a connection to an urban area. So urbanization, there's always multiple levels of reasons. And I'd like to believe that the church fortresses were added as a protective, I called it part of an urban area's defense system. So can we go back one slide, please? Sorry. So this is Cebu City and this is Iloilo City, which are of course founded way earlier than the church fortresses in here. But if you see the red lines where the pirates are usually frequent, they raid the towns and they take slaves. So eventually some of the cities here need to expand, but not just a result of economic expansion, but more of defending the urban system. Okay. So next, this is a Capul in northern Samar. The blue line here represents the galleon trade route. So you will see that this is a very important place in the Philippines, and it's just really quite important to defend this, to help fight the pirates. So that's my second. So elevation, you have this an urbanization part, and another geographic benefit or advantage is most of these churches or towns are actually found through an inward shoreline indentation, or we can call them the cove. So why are they important? So because there's a protective area here. So this is from Fong's website, by the way. Thank you. This screenshot. So you have the Capul Church in here, and here on the small point, you can see a baluarte or a watchtower. I don't know who has been to Capul. You should always visit not just the church, but there is a part of the structure here where there's the baluarte. So that's another example of inward shoreline indentation would be Bolhoon. This could be a good example on why they shouldn't do the destruction of the alien point. So you see there's another cove in here, and then you have the alien point, which I think they found the watchtower, well, remnants of it. And then along the coast they found there's another baluarte or watchtower. So this is another geographic feature. So that's number 3. Number 4 that I maybe analyzed through study is the nearby mountains. So naturally the Philippines are mountainous islands and very narrow coastal plains. So it's not really proven yet, but it's something that maybe we can study further. That maybe we can check whether if the defense were actually destroyed, that the people actually go into the mountains as protection. So maybe we can check in Bolhoon at the back, the hills, maybe we can check that perhaps there are possible areas where they hit during these times. Miagao is also the same. Number 5, this is a question. What about inland defense? Because we're forgetting one more church, which is Dupax del Sur. But before we do that, that's another example of urbanization. Vigan is an important port town. and Santa Maria Ilocos Sur is here. So the pirates would be coming from the south, and maybe they could warn Bigan for incoming attacks. No? The Dupax, it's an inland, it's not in the coast. So what do you think is probably a key reason? Well, we have the Cordillera group here where there were people practicing headhunting, and it used to terrorize the town. But where do they go? Because originally I said mountains might be the refuge, but what about an inland area? So I thought of maybe this. It's still something that I'm trying to play with. We'll check the role of the rivers. Maybe this is Dupax del Sur, and then there are two rivers here actually, Magat and Santa Fe. And perhaps it's one of the escape routes of the locals. So it's something that I'd like to check with my archaeologist friend. Maybe we'll find some survey or some findings maybe that it could prove my idea. So, but usually the whole of Cagayan Valley, how did the Spanish defend that area? It's not coastal, it's inland, it's surrounded by mountains on all sides. How do you defend it? It's for next chapter. So just a conclusion, I collected this similar properties of fortifications everywhere, just to compare why are these special compared to the Philippines. No? Because I saw the Spanish colonial fortifications in the tentative list, and my friend said, how special are those compared to the forts in Havana and the others? Let's check first. Maybe it's always the answer is usually in geography. Let's check the area. So the Philippine Intramuros, which is probably the biggest fort in the Philippines, only 3 hectares. And think of the church area. It's actually less than 1 hectare. It's actually quite small. But this is my conclusion. This is a comparative analysis. They're probably smaller in size. They're smaller in size, they're more isolated, they're put in a very difficult position somewhere in the, unaided, independently operated, compared to the other forts, it's an ensemble of buildings. So it's actually a lone monument, somewhere far from the urban area. But it has multi-functions, it's religious, military, defense, and social, because that's where people actually still interact. And at the same time, there was one record where they said that the forts are very expensive to maintain. It's too expensive for the Spanish colonial government that the government said, okay, it's up to the local people now, local parishes, to start doing their own defense work. So you can see how much freedom maybe or contribution the local Filipinos had in building their own defense. Because they're the ones who are always attacked by pirates. They should know how to defend themselves. And maybe a manifestation of that are the church fortresses. So, and the last, of course, it's a geographic situation. The small size, we don't really need big forts. We actually need small ones that are scattered all over the country. And it becomes relevant to an archipelagic setting. So, it's something that we can still study further. So here, for further study, maybe there could be, we can invite someone from the Department of Defense who might be able to help us with the military heritage during that time. There should be an inland and inter-inland defense strategies. So for example, take Cebu and Bohol together. Panay, these are all from the south. Again, the other one that I mentioned was the inland territory of Cagayan Valley, and of course the whole idea of military heritage. So I think that's my presentation. So I hope you found that interesting.
Questions?
Do you have any questions? Yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, because I think the churches really have to be appreciated, not only as places of worship, but also as places for defense. It might be good though to see the defense as one network, because you're talking about how small they were. No? But you have to look at it as they formed one giant network. And I'm not so. Can we have that illustration again?
No, with the church.
No, the sizes. It's a bit. I'm not comfortable with the comparisons, but can we go through that table with comparisons?
Yeah.
Yeah. Parang I don't understand.
Yeah.
What is the... why are you comparing the
Yeah.
Historic Center of Lima with Intramuros?
Yes. Well, I had to.
Because the Historic Center of Lima is actually smaller than 259 hectares.
I got all of this information from the UNESCO World Heritage site, the denomination file. I added here all of these because part of them are actually in a fortified system. So the historic center, I think there's a fort. So that's why it's like I said, it's an ensemble of buildings. It's fortifications within cities.
In other words, should we not include, if you talk about Manila, di ba dapat kasama dyan ang Binondo? Even though it's outside? I mean, it's...
Yes.
I don't understand the parameters kasi...
Yes, for me it's just really to compare the geographic settings of most countries, where the countries are actually big chunks of land, where they can actually choose a specific site where all the buildings are.
The Colonial City of Santo Domingo, it's the entire building, of course, going to be 100,
Yes.
106 hectares.
But there's also fortifications.
Around the
Yes.
whole?
Some areas, yes.
Okay, some areas lang, but not the entire city of Santo Domingo.
But it's still strategic, and it's still compared to Intramuros and the churches. It's still a small area. Right?
And what do you mean by 1 hectare? 1 hectare per
church.
But it's a network.
Yes, yes.
I think you have to emphasize the fact that the Philippines are an archipelago, and it's a network.
Yes.
Actually, that spans the entire country.
That's why
Kasi it's a comparison then.
that's why in my for further study, it's something that I would like to check further. Just how the whole network interacts in terms of defending the whole archipelago.
By the way, are you familiar with the study of James Warren? So because James Warren did this book on precisely piracy rates in the Philippines. He focuses on Sulu and how he comes out with a map showing the targets of the piracy rates every year. Because the piracy rates span practically the entire archipelago. Not only that, the piracy rates targeted also other parts of Southeast Asia. So I think this will give you a better picture of the significance of this.
Using the Balangos. Using the boats.
Boats.
Mga Binta. The Bintas are faster than the Galleons.
They're coming from the Dutch East Indies. I heard it.
No, not coming from Dutch East Indies. I'm talking about the people from Maguindanao and Sulu. They were annually kasi they would raid settlements all over the Philippines and all over Southeast Asia because piracy was equivalent to trade. Human merchandise was highly sought after kasi very low population density.
Yes.
So it was important to capture people.
Yes. It was in my paper. So.
Yeah. Saka the Philippines, Spanish East Indies, that is not really the correct term. The Philippines was part of New Spain.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. In fact, that is another aspect of military strategy. It was the farthermost defense of New Spain because all of the Pacific was considered the Spanish lake. So it was the westernmost westernmost fortification of New Spain.
Okay. Thank you very much.